Hello, everybody. Oh, it sounds like I can't even hear through this headset, so I'm not going to bother. Welcome to my live book reading event. So, this is my new book, and I'm Rachel Alexandria, by the way, in case you don't already know me. This is my new book. I don't know if that'll reverse for you now, but you can see it on the other side. It's called Who's in Charge of Your Brain? And this is something that I wrote over actually a couple of years. It's not a very thick read, but the concepts came into place over a few years of being a psychotherapist and working with, I'm a little nervous. I've done so many live things, but I've never done a live book reading. So my background is that I've been a psychotherapist for 8 years, and I'm not doing that officially anymore, but in all that time of working with clients, I found that we would ask the same questions over and over. A lot of people will ask, why do I keep doing this? Why does this keep happening to me? I thought I was done with this pattern. And so I just started explaining to them, because I would see, oh, well, I think this is what you're doing. You say this, and then you do this, and then this is what happens. And they'd be like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. That does make sense. And then they'd come back a week later and say, I just don't know why I do this. So because it's so hard to see our own patterns, I just started drawing pictures because it just felt easier and more accessible. So that's how this little book got born. The very first picture in this book is a version of one that I drew the very first time for a client, because she would go in this loop of having needs or wants and then suppressing them, because a part of her judged them as wrong, as not okay. And what happens after that is there basically is inevitably like sadness and depression, and then anger, comes in, like, why can't I do this? And then the critic just judges all these different parts of us. So when I drew it out, it became much easier to see how the cycle happens and then to talk about what to do next. So that's Who is in Charge of Your Brain, and I'm going to do the reading for you right now. So thanks for joining me. I hope that you enjoy it. So here we are. Who is in Charge of Your Brain? An Illustrated Mind Hack by Rachel Alexandria. Mafa. I'm just being silly. So I'll read you the introduction. The introduction is basically what I already explained, so I won't read you the introduction. Let's just get to the meat of it, right? So judging our wants and needs always results in anger and depression. I want. No, you shouldn't want this. Oh, I shouldn't feel this way. I must be bad. What? Why can't I? Anger is bad. No. Oh, what's the point? When your mind is full of guilt, blame, shame, and self-loathing, you'll do anything to try to escape it. And that leads to other problems, because we inevitably overuse our distractions. We end up vilifying our distractions. Bad TV, bad computer, Facebook is stupid. No more wine, no more food. And feeling even more ashamed of not being able to get it together. When inner judgment rules your mind, you never feel safe. It seems like there is no way to end the cycle. No. Why not? Why are you sad? Get up. But there is a leverage point. When we look at the pattern, it's clear where the problem lies. After all, Who is in charge of your mind? You are. Your inner critics are just a part of you. They judge you based on a code of thoughts and beliefs that have been written on the wall of your mind. Thou shalt not. These are their operating instructions. Good people don't. Feeling this way means... These are beliefs about how you and people and life should be. Good people don't do that, so you are bad. Your critics use the measuring stick you grew up with. Good enough? You suck. What's the point? Are you even trying? Just don't bother. To beat you up when you aren't completely perfect. What if we could change the measuring stick from this, barely okay, suck, sucky, way sucky, completely awful, to this, wow, you're great, great work, love your hard work, yes, you are still good enough, you are loved no matter what. But how? By figuring out what beliefs your critics are trying to enforce. People aren't supposed to. Looking at them in the light. Good people don't. And considering how you feel when you hold this belief. This belief about me? If you feel yucky when you put this belief on, sad, tired, burnt out, scared, shame, guilt, I'm not okay. That's your sign. It's time to let this go. It's time. Because anything that makes you feel bad about yourself is a lie. Nope. And it keeps you from the truth. There is nothing wrong with you. I'll tell you a story about that page after I'm done reading. Imagine if you put in new operating instructions to accept and love yourself just as you are. That's my favorite picture in the book. You can do this whenever you decide. Even right in this moment. It's easy to start. Begin to listen to your thoughts so you can catch your critics in the act. No. He looks so scared, doesn't he? He's like, oh, don't hurt me. And stop them from causing harm. Sometimes you may get stressed. Just sometimes. And your critics may forget who's in charge. You need help getting motivated. So much to do, you're screwing it up. No, don't. That's okay. Retraining your critics takes time and practice. Yay! Oops, I forgot. This belongs to you. Thank you. Keep reminding the critics of their new operating instructions. Got it. I'm learning. Imagine how much more free, creative, and happy you can become when you don't spend your time beating yourself up or trying to avoid your critics. Loving yourself as you are is just the beginning to an amazing, freedom-filled life. Where you take it next is up to you. So, my dears, that is it. That is the entire book, except for the, gratitude and author bio and stuff like that. So, yes, that is my wonderful Who's in Charge of Your Brain book. I'm so glad that you got a chance to watch me read it and and listen. Yeah, I always like doing the little voices. So I was going to tell you a story about one of those pages. Oh, and one of my other favorite pages is this, because I just know how this feels. You never feel safe. Like, when we don't understand that we're in charge of our brain and that our critics aren't the boss of us, that's what it feels like. It feels like being chained to them, being subservient to them, like they're the big scary bully in our heads. So I love that page because I think it's so evocative. So I wrote the first third of this book over a weekend, like wrote and illustrated. It was just sort of flowing. I was in San Diego while I was dating my long distance boyfriend, and he was in a workshop, or well, not workshop. He was in his mastermind. Shout out to Flight Club. And so I had time because I wasn't in the mastermind. I was just there hanging out with him. So I was sitting in cafes in San Diego and drawing and writing this. And I got part of the way through, and then I was like, I'm not sure where it goes next. Like, I know it goes somewhere, but I'm not sure where that is. So I figured, oh, I'll finish it over a couple more weeks. This is in 2015. And then I think maybe I did a couple more pages, and then, life happened. I ended up changing over the nature of my business, let go of my therapy practice, or at least that methodology, that doorway, and stepped into leadership and guidance work, and let go of my office. My boyfriend and I ended up breaking up. It was a really busy fall of 2015. So I didn't really come back to this book until I think mid 2016. And then I was like, okay, I just want to finish this. Like, it's really not that many more pages, which is hysterical because I think it ended up being another 30. So I just kind of was like, well, what comes next? And I kept writing. And then I got to this point here where it's like, okay, everything that makes you feel bad about yourself is a lie. Okay, I got to that place because I was sort of workshopping it with my clients and my friends, just trying to keep it as simple and clear as possible. And then I was like, okay, so it keeps you from the truth. These lies about us, they keep us from the real truth. And then I'm like, how do I explain what the real truth is and keep it simple? And I remember I was at my favorite beach, Golden Gardens here in Seattle, and I'm writing and I'm like, okay, how do I, as a therapist, of course, I can make it very complicated to explain that, you just need love and self-acceptance. And if you connect to your core self, then blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh God, that's no. I'm like, what's the truth then? What's really the truth? And then it just kind of flowed in, and it was like, the truth is there's nothing wrong with you. And I wrote it down, and I think I even was scribbling the drawing. It was another variation on this because I had to redraw it later. But I wrote that, and I'm sitting on the beach, and the wind picks up, and I swear to you, across my lap blows this white feather, and it lands on the page. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. As a spiritual teacher and spiritual explorer, I guess, to me, white feathers are always a sign that spirit is with me, or with whatever.